Welcome to my review video on measures of central tendency. So the first one we're going to look at is the mean. And remember, it's the numerical average of the data set and is found by adding the numbers in the data set together and dividing by the number of data pieces in the set. This data point works best for sets of data with no very high or low numbers. So let's do an example here where we find the mean of these 5 numbers. So I've already added them up for you, and they add up to 394. And since there are 5 numbers, I'm going to divide by how many? So 394 divided by 5 is 78.8. Now this one actually said 78.8 exact. Typically I would round if I got a bunch of numbers after the decimal, but there's only one number after the decimal, so I'm already set. It's already rounded for me. Okay, so that was the mean. And remember, we add them up and divide by how many. Now let's move on to the median. So median, if you think of a median in the road, it's the middle. So it's the middle value of a data set in ranked order. That just means when you put them in order from least to greatest or greatest to least. If there are an odd number of pieces of data, the median is the middle value in ranked order. Okay, so it's one in the middle if you put them in order from least to greatest or greatest to least. But if there is an even number of pieces of data, the median is the numerical average of the 2 middle values. So what that means, in other words, add them up and divide by 2. So you have to find the average of the 2 in the middle if there are 2 numbers in the middle. The median is a good choice when data sets have a couple of values much lower or higher than most of the others. So this is one of the central tendencies that you have to put in order from least to greatest. So I'm going to do that. So 8, 12, 36, 48, 55, 72, and 79. So I put them in order from least to greatest, and I always double check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I want to make sure I write them all down. Now remember to find the median, cross out 1 from each end, like this. And since there were an odd number of data points, there's one number in the middle, so that means that my median is 48. Okay, now the next one, I need you to add another number here. It was supposed to have 6 numbers, not 5. And so now I want to put them in order from least to greatest. So we're going to do 21, 22, 29, 62, 91, and 98. And I double check 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I've got 6 written down when I put them in order from least to greatest. Now watch what happens when I cross out 1 from each end. I end up with 2 in the middle. Okay, and this will happen anytime there are an even amount of numbers. So I'm going to circle them, and I'm going to add them up. And I have to remember when I do this, when I add them up, I need to make sure I hit equals. So 29 plus 62 is 91, and I'm going to divide it by 2. Since there are 2 numbers in the middle, I'm finding the average. So add them up and divide by 2 because there's 2 in the middle. And that gives me 45.5. So here the median is 45.5. So remember, if there's 1 in the middle, that is the median. If there's 2 in the middle, I've got to find the average by adding them up, hitting equals, and divided by 2. Okay, so now the mode is the piece of data that occurs most often. And here's how I remember it, MO, most often. If no value occurs more often than any other, there is no mode. So if you don't see any of the numbers repeating, there is no mode. If there is more than one value that occurs most often, all of these most frequently occurring values are modes. Mode is a good descriptor to use when the set of data has some of the same values. And sometimes you'll hear the word, and write this in parentheses, identical. So it has some identical values, or another way of saying identical is the same values. Or when working with a yes or no survey. Okay, the mode is often used to determine the results. So it says find the mode of the following set. 54, 51, 54, 58, 52. Did any of the numbers repeat? Hopefully you were thinking 54 did, so I'll just circle these, and that means the mode is 54. Okay, the next set, 62, 41, 62, 55, 41, 65. Hopefully you realize here there are 2 modes, because 62 repeats twice and 41 repeats twice. So this time it's 41 and 62. So that only happens when numbers repeat the most and there's more than one repeating the most. Okay? And find the mode of the following data set here, 15, 21, 12, 17, 25. Notice none of the numbers repeat, therefore there is no mode. So remember, mode is the number that appears most often. So here's our last one. And we have the range. So the range is the difference between the greatest and the least value in the data set. So that means what does difference mean? Subtract. So you're subtracting the greatest minus the least value. So range is best used when describing how spread out the data is. So it says find the range of the following set. So we need to find the greatest number here. So we could put them in order from least to greatest, but we can also look, and I see that 98 is the greatest. And as I go through the numbers, 32 is the smallest. So to find the range, I'm going to do 98 minus 32. And what does that equal? 66. Okay, that concludes our review. I want you to turn to the back page and complete the back page. Have a great day.